Roger Clark.
We have Alex McKenna, who starred in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Thank you for playing the game. Thanks for loving Sadie the way I do.
Right, I never thought about that. So Snake turns the lights off, right?
Yep, yeah, he does.
And then when I'm in the dojo, I get Mr. Miyagi trounces me, and then my hand goes over the lights and turns it off, right? That's a really astute observation. And all this time, I never kind of put that together. Interesting.
Hello and welcome to Love of Film. My name is Jamie, and today we have a guest that I actually can't believe we have. We have Ned Luke.
Get 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them? What is happening, Jamie?
That actors can wear a lot of different hats. One of the biggest misconceptions that I've come across, at least certainly since Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, which is what I'm known for best. A lot of people still think that video games is voice acting. And although that's still true to some extent, the majority of the time, it's not.
Hi guys, my name is Chris, and this is Love of Film. We're filmmakers, and, well, we want to learn from the best. So tune in every Friday as we interview filmmakers, actors, directors, writers, you name it, anyone in the industry, because, well, we don't know how to make a film, but we want to find out how.
Hello and welcome to Love of Film. My name is Jamie. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I mean, if you like the show, you can indeed follow us on our socials. We do have Spotify where you can keep up with this podcast. YouTube, you could subscribe. That, of course, helps us out. We also have Apple Podcast where you can leave a review, and reviews really help out, Today's guest is Benjamin Byron Davis. Now, if you're a fan of Red Dead Redemption 2, you know who Benjamin is. He's Dutch Van Der Linde. Now, of course, that's not all Benjamin has done. He's done many different things. Benjamin is an actor who has been in movies, TV shows. He was most recently in Creature Commandos. I'm a big DC guy. I mean, I'm really anxious to see what's coming after Peacemaker with James Gunn's new DCU, and Creature Commandos, I just checked it out. It was amazing. And Benjamin was playing a bad sort of villain role in episode 6 as Rupert Thorne, and he did a great job. So I'm going to talk to him about the new DCU, see if I can get any information on Superman. We need to know what's going on. But of course, we want to talk to Benjamin as well and see what's up about him and how he became the actor he is. So without further ado, let's get chatting to Benjamin.
Jamie.
That's me, Benjamin. Great to meet you.
How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I mean, how you doing today?
Not too bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of your work. I mean, I played Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 as a kid growing up, but even your voice now, do you know when you hear a voice, you think you know somebody, but of course, we've never met before, but it's just so recognizable. It's like, do I know him? It's like, of course I know him from the game and stuff like that. So it's a real treat to talk to you today, man.
Well, I'm looking forward to our conversation, and I certainly know how that is. I live in LA, and you go to the supermarket, and half the time you think, did I go to high school with that guy, or maybe did I see him on TV, or do I know? You don't ever know. But so I love that you have that association with my voice. That's great, man.
Yeah, I do, and I'd be interested to know just yourself. Obviously, like we were talking about things, just I mentioned Red Dead Redemption, but just as yourself as an actor, how you became an actor, how you chose that path, in your life, how you wanted to get into that and stuff.
Well, I guess I did everything to not be an actor. I like most people, I think, that are have run off to join the circus. They it kind of chose me. I found a love for it very early on because I had parents that valued the arts, and I saw a lot of theater as a kid. And one show I saw was Sweeney Todd, and it was the national tour, and it was Angela Lansbury was Mrs. Lovett, and George Hearn was Sweeney Todd, and I fell in love with it. And we had the old records, and I memorized the songs, and the school called home and asked if they'd take me to another show because I was scaring the kids because I kept wanting to, sing as I cut their throats like Sweeney Todd, So I had the bug, and there's a great arts program that I went to. So as a adolescent, I did a lot of filmmaking, and I did a lot of storytelling, and I went to University of Chicago to try and get a sensible degree, but even there I found that the only thing that was giving me any joy was the work I was doing there in the theater and on the board of the theater. And I finally dropped out and went to NYU to get my acting degree, and I guess that's easier said than done, but somehow pulled that off, and spent the rest of the 20th century doing theater in New York. And then right around 1999, I moved out here to LA, and I have been very lucky and proud to call myself a working union actor since April of '99.
And I mean, the things you've been in, I was even just looking at your IMDb, Benjamin. I mean, so many random roles in these shows I've seen growing up. Even like I've seen like you were in an episode of Gilmore Girls, stuff like that. It's mad to see, like we were mentioning, recognizing a voice, you know, like, and I understand that now. Like actors are in so many different things, but you don't particularly associate them with that. But as I mentioned, what I do associate with you immediately is that crisp voice as Dutch Van Der Linde in Red Dead Redemption. And I mean, they have to be the best video games of all time. I mean, I've played them to death, the two of them, you know, I mean, over and over again. Like as a little kid, even the first one came out when I was about 10 years old. Me and my brother, we were obsessed with the whole thing, the ending with Dutch coming in. It's like, oh, he's the bad guy, he's going to stop John and stuff like that. But I'd be so interested to hear from an acting perspective how you even auditioned for that role, how you got into Rockstar Games and became Dutch.
Well, so it's it's a lot to ask. I would say for Dutch, all of that tech, you know, and we do get thought of as voice actors. It's not really, you know. We can say it till we're blue in the face. The reality is the way Rockstar Games makes a video game is not, no one else does it the way Rockstar Games does it. So anybody that sort of thinks that they have a handle on it because they've worked for another company, Rockstar, you know, for better and worse, are mad geniuses, and the way they do things is singular. I was actually talking with a castmate via text earlier today, and how wonderful it would be if there was ever a behind the scenes of how we did it. But when I did the first Red Dead game, I was hired for that in 2009. I had already done voice acting work, specifically, which is to say, in front of a microphone with a script in my hand. I'd done some pedestrian voices, NPC voices for Andreas, I believe, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I'd already been a fan, right, of Rockstar Games since Grand Theft Auto 3, at least. And I remember that. I mean, my buddy Zach, I remember when we were playing Grand Theft Auto 3 and seeing those blocky characters in those cutscenes, and I even remember saying, "That's a job. That's a job. That's an actor's doing that job. That's a cool job." I'd like to, you know, not knowing what the future was going to hold. But when I showed up for work on the first day of Red Dead, that was the first time I'd done any performance capture. And performance capture is when, you know, you get into this leotard and they put these ping pong balls all over you. They're called ping pong balls. They're not ping pong balls. They're small little latex balls that are wrapped in this highly reflective material, and that material reflects the light that shines off of them. And that's how everything that you do when you're on a performance capture stage is recorded. And then it goes into these characters that you see in the games. And when you say that, you know, we voice those characters, it gives the person watching what we're doing this thought that, oh, it's like a cartoon, but it's not. We didn't voice those characters. When you're hearing our voices, that audio is captured at the very same moment that all of that movement is captured. It's just a single performance. And particularly in the case of Red Dead Redemption 1, we couldn't create any edit points within a scene. So in other words, like take us, the first scene I did as Dutch is the professor and John in the hotel, and Dutch calls them down. Right? Would you kindly send the professor out here, the academic out here? We can show him what we think about the art of anthropology. That scene, that was my first scene as Dutch, and my first time doing performance capture. And the reality of that scene is we're all on the same volume. We're all on the same performance space. So Joe Achman is playing the drug-addled professor. Rob Wiedoff, the stalwart, is playing John Marston, and I'm playing Dutch. And I don't know that if I had any cowboys with me or Native Americans with me down there. I think it might have just been me. But the way it's shot, or the way it comes together, you get the sense that they're up on the second floor and I'm down on the first floor. The reality of it is we're all in the same plane space. I've got an eye line looking up and Rob's got an eye line looking down, but in reality, we're right next to each other. And I'm shouting up at him and he's shouting down at my feet. And the point I was making, though, was that, so it seems as though that scene has multiple camera angles and multiple camera moves and all this stuff going through it. The truth of it is it's just one pass, and all of those camera angles and camera moves are within the data. It's within the virtual world. But because of the way the tech works, when you go, and should you ever play Red Dead Redemption 1 again, understand when you see those scenes are single take scenes. In other words, there's no pickups. So every single one of those cut scenes is essentially a oneer, like Adolescence Now, or like those are all oneers. The cameras are moving, and so it feels as though there's edits happening within it. But it's absolutely the case that it is a single take from John Marston confronting Dutch on that cliff to me falling off the cliff at the end. That's all us. That's all us. That is
incredible. That's incredible.
It's incredible. It is. And it is why, and I know that there's some fans who hear an actor say, I'm not a voice actor, it was performance capture, and they think that we're being persnickety or we should, the fact of the matter is the tech is so profoundly cool. And it is not voice acting. It is. So if you and I were hanging out and I was wearing a pair of cowboy boots and I went to go, pick something up across the hall, you would see Dutch Van Der Linde walking. Yeah. I mean, he walks like I walk. And that's the same for Peter Blomquist or for Alex McKenna or any of us. So that's the answer to your question. I don't know.
No, it's a fascinating answer. And I mean, I've said this to friends as well of the game, like you guys, if anything, your performance is captured more than, say, any actor in a movie or even in theater, because as you were saying with the reference points, the ping pong balls, everything is captured. And it really is a full body performance. And I mean, you can see it when you play the game. Like you were talking about, like older games and stuff like that. Maybe not Rockstar, but other games. You can tell it's like somebody animating the arm. But with your games, you could tell whether it be you or Roger or Alex, you guys are actually doing that. And as a player and as a fan of you guys as actors, fascinating. And you did a fantastic job as well. I mean, your performance as Dutch was just, he was the most interesting character in any of those games. Because a woman, you're like, I really like this guy. Or the first time you see him, you're like, I hate this guy, he's a bad guy. And the second game, you're like, Dutch was actually really, really likable. When you were doing the first game, did they give you any idea that they were going to show him as this nice leader in the second game that people would immediately relate to and like his charisma and stuff?
No, not exactly. I had no, what they told me, so I went in and I auditioned, and the audition went very well. This is in the old days when we'd actually go into the room to audition. Now most auditioning is self-tape. Although I went into the room yesterday. It was the first time in a long time. But I went in the room and I knew, the producer even said, they were like, there's going to be something for you on this game. So I knew I booked something. I don't even know if they call it a game, but they said there was going to be something for me. And then months and months go by and then I get called in. And I show up on the first day and I'm just eager to find out what the hell I'm doing. And that's when I met for the first time our director, Rod Edge, who is very hard to find anything about, which is terrible, because the reality is that Rod Edge is one of the most important directors in popular culture. I mean, and people don't know his name. And he, along with Rockstar, kind of invented an entire form of storytelling with these cutscenes and this sort of mission-based structure and all these things that we kind of take for granted. Rod helped invent. But the day that I met him, he pulled me aside and he said, so this guy, here's what I knew about Dutch. I knew he was named Dutch, and I thought that's a pretty cool name. Still think it's a cool name. And he said, and he was a leader. He was extraordinarily well read, and he's lost his mind. And that's all I knew for going into those scenes, which ends up being enough. And Rod is really good at that, at giving the actor in question what they need to know and not anything more, because they're so secretive and they're so, let's be honest, they're freaking paranoid about anything getting out. And well, they should be, because there are people that are trying every day to get some kind of quan by releasing something ahead of time, which also blows my mind, because when I see that happen, I think about all the artists that have been working and laboring and keeping their mouths shut and really understanding the value of this work that they're devoting their time to. And then somebody just puts it out there for some immediate attention on themselves. And there's something so fundamentally disrespectful in it that really rubs me wrong. Jamie, I feel like you asked me these questions and I'm going off in complete tangents.
Benjamin, it's so interesting, like even what you're talking about there. I mean, like I seen it with like the, Insomniac games. I don't know if you saw, there was a massive leak from hackers. I think it was a year or two ago. And it really does break your heart. I mean, you'd know, like I'm just an outsider listening in. It's really interesting, but these people are spending so much time and effort to make it everything it can be. It's just a really lame thing to do, like it's.
Well, it's funny, because there's a lot of that going around. There's a lot of disrespect for expertise, and there's a lot of disrespect for hard work, and there's a lot of there's a lot of folks. You see that conversation popping up around artificial intelligence all the time. That it's somehow it's democratizing, that anybody can make anything look like an artist can make, and it ignores the fact that, well, you can't, because the machine doesn't know the value of the work that it took to attain those skills. And not to mention that every second that any person spends learning how to do something is a second they're spending not learning how to do something else. So they've made this choice, and that yields all manner of discoveries. And all those discoveries, the end result may be a pretty picture, but what the individual that became capable of creating that pretty picture endured to learn how to generate that beauty. The machine doesn't know that, and somebody, putting a prompt into an AI machine doesn't know that. There's people out there that do impersonations of Dutch Van Der Linde, many badly, a few are okay. I love that. I adore that, because that is their discipline, their effort, their creative impulse. They're actually learning how better to use their instrument. They're learning how better to use their camera, they're creating something. Now you put that next to somebody who uses my work and as an AI prompt to create Dutch Van Der Linde saying X, Y, or Z that I would never say, or as I've seen him, they put John Denver's voice into a thing and it comes out sounding like Dutch Van Der Linde singing a John Denver song. You're disrespecting John Denver. You're disrespecting me. You're disrespecting. I mean, and above and beyond any of it, what creative impulse has been served? What value has been served? Maybe there is some great reason to have the character of Dutch sing a John Denver song. Mm-hmm. I'd love to find the artist who trains themselves to sound like Dutch, who learns how to play, like all of the effort that goes into it. We think that the outcome of these things are their value. the outcome is not the value. The process is everything. And if we sacrifice iterative processes to generative artificial intelligence, which is another way of saying plagiarism machines, we're going to be a bunch of lazy people, and all we're going to be able to watch is collage based on work done by people who actually learned how to do things. So yeah, that's also not the answer to the question you asked me, Jamie. But
Benjamin, you have a habit of taking the question and bringing it on to something more interesting. So don't worry about it. If you're a fan of Love of Film and you're watching us here on YouTube, please subscribe. I mean, it would really help us. I mean, if you like our stuff, we post reels all the time on Instagram, on TikTok, and please leave a review. Reviews do great for us. I mean, helps us make more of these videos on Apple Podcast reviews. That's where the magic happens. So if you have time and want to give your thoughts, it doesn't have to be positive too. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can write that down. You can get angry. Yeah, leave a review. If you're enjoying Love It Film over here, the show with me, talking to these people about movie things, you can help us directly by signing up to our Patreon. The links are in the bio. I mean, hey, a little goes a long way. So if you want to do that, I really appreciate it. It is more interesting, and I was lucky enough to have Roger come on for an interview like yourself today, and we touched on the subject of AI too, because I mean, as we said, I mean, someone can find all the audio files from Red Dead 2 and they put it into an AI prompt. But I mean, AI is evolving very, very fast. But Roger said it really well, where yes, it's going to grow really fast, but it will never get to the point where it can replicate the authenticity of a performance like yourself or a performance like Alex or Roger or Rob. It will never be that. You know, do you agree with that? Like, it will never have what you guys have. It's just made up mumbo jumbo, and it's just imitating. It's not really original.
I do agree with that. I mean, Roger's pretty shrewd, you know, and I think he and I agree. It's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's a tool. It's here. And you can't be a total Luddite about it, but you do have to be, you know, again, process versus outcome, right? I'm one of the great things about getting to play Dutch is the writing. How not only is it the writing, but think about the position I found myself in. One of the greatest scenes I ever got to do on stage, on TV, on camera, anywhere, is spoiler alert, you know, Dutch's final in Red Dead Redemption 1. Now, when I did that scene, all I knew was it was a good scene and a good scene partner and a good director and great fun technology. That's all I knew. I was hopeful. Dutch seemed like he was a big deal, but I didn't know for sure. So when that game came out, I was learning more about Dutch Van Der Linde playing that game than I knew when I played the character. And I finally get to the end. And then I get to see that scene in context, having played 28 hours of what I think is one of the greatest games ever made, Red Dead Redemption, the first one. Certainly at 2010, that was the greatest game ever made, as far as I'm concerned. Last of Us was the first thing that came out, and I was like, okay, all right, maybe we're not, maybe we're, there's other good games, but when it came out, it was the greatest. And so then to see that scene in that context, and then to get the call that I'm going to go back and I get to play this character and I get to play him again and in his prime and all of it is such great, good fortune. But the thing that I'm driving at ultimately is that scene on the cliff. I can tell you quite specifically, because I've got a brain that works like this. That is take 7. That scene. I know because when we did the fall, there was the helmet that had the camera on my head. So I fall off the cliff into a mat, and it would hurt anyway because of where and so Josh, the producer, Rod asked how many of those takes could I do? And I said, I think probably about 4 or 5 before it's going to start really hurting. And so what we do is he would cut the scene before the end if he didn't like it, so that I wouldn't do that fall for nothing. Anyway, the point that I'm driving at is I've seen people recreate that scene. I've seen young people perform that scene. I've seen that scene sort of talked about in a way that kind of these very few, these stories that become very important to a great many people. We look at it, and we look at it like everything was intended, like it was all perfect, and it was all perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't. It was take 7. That's all it was. But if you watch it over and over and over again, you start to cement, oh, look what he did there, and look at that, and look, and you start to put on it this sort of conscious effort, when in fact the really great output that an artist does is effortless. It's not, it's there's a chaos to it, there's an ease to it. The computer doesn't know that. Mm-hmm. The computer doesn't give a shit about process. And if you don't give a shit about the process, you're not in a mode of discovery. And if you're not in a mode of discovery, you're not in a mode of listening, and you're not in a mode of being surprised, and you're not in a mode of the other side of the scene being more important than yourself. The computer can't do any of those things. Most people can't do any of those things. I've been teaching acting for 30 years. It's not easy. It's very hard. The computer doesn't have an effing chance. But the thing is, where the danger comes in, Jamie, for me, is the audience. If the audience gets comfortable looking at shit only, if the audience gets comfortable saying that the value of Lawrence of Arabia and the value of our interview right now, because they're both on YouTube, the value of those two things are the same, we're in deep shit. Yeah. Because this conversation you and I are having right now, this is extremely valuable to me. I hope it's valuable to you.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not as valuable as Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia took hundreds of people, years and years and years to make. That thing is different than this thing. And not all, and all things do not weigh the same. But in the world of content, right, everything does weigh the same. And so we stop to think about process, and all we think about is output. And so why not plagiarize somebody's work? Why not use deep fakes or other things to manipulate stuff? These are tools. And who I'm most concerned about is the audience, because the audience is going to define, they're going to describe. And if the audience decides they don't care what an artist does, then, you'll find me at the museum or at the local theater. But
I mean, to give you a little bit of hope, Benjamin, with that whole thing, I mean, my generation is that generation where it's like, I mean, all they see is this, these reels online on TikToks, and they're all like this AI garbage that goes around. But I'm able to differentiate where it's something sudden and just real comes out. Like even, I mean, you're talking about these amazing pieces of dialogue you had to use in Red Dead 1 and 2. Like things AI couldn't replicate is the choice in Red Dead 2 to do a random side quest before the end of a mission, to go fishing with Hosea and Arthur. And then Dutch comes out with something, my favorite line that Dutch says in the game, I believe it's, somehow the desert makes you feel closer to the sky. AI couldn't come up with that randomly. I mean, if that gives you some hope from my generation, that's what sticks with me, and I know that's real, and that came from you, that's your performance. And it's just a great moment. I mean, do you remember filming that scene? I mean, with all the sing-songs and stuff?
We had about a week of us caterwauling in the green room as we were learning those songs. I do remember that boat really, really well. And I also, that was kind of in the thick of it as the thing was unfolding, and as we would get more pages. They are making it up as they go. Not exactly. They making it up as they go is not correct. They are refining the way the story will unfold in concert with the tech unfolding, in concert with the lessons that are being learned by the quality testers. And it's all, I said a long time ago, and I don't know if it really resonates, but it's a bit like you're acting inside of a painting as it's being painted. And you can end up with scenes that go away, or with character impulses that alter or change, and they can be all manner of. But I guess the point that I'm. Yeah, no, I lost my point, Jamie. I totally lost my point.
I mean, that's okay. I understand. I mean, like, I don't have you here all day as well. And I want to be respectful of your time, Benjamin. Another big thing I want to talk to you about today is I'm a huge nerd of many things. One of the things I am is DC. I love Batman, Superman, all of the side characters. And even before this interview, I mean, I was a big fan of Creature Commandos when it came out, James Gunn's new animated show. And it was just
it's pretty good, isn't it?
It's so good. I mean, for an animated show as well, you're like, oh, I don't know if I like this. And then you watch it and you go, whoa. I've never seen anything like it. And you come in episode 6, you're coming in as in a more of a villainous role. It was Rupert Thorne was his name, wasn't it? And I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but big sort of villainous, darker character. I mean, what was it like going into that? I know you worked in Guardians 3 as a character I love as well. Beetle Snort. It was absolutely hilarious.
Bleedle Snort.
Bleedle Snort, yeah. I mean... Did James come into you and just be like, all right, here's a new show, going from that relationship, and then you were coming in with this new thing? It's so interesting to be coming into this new DC.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying to remember. I think Thorne came to. I think it came to me through proper channels. I think my agent reached out to me and said they're looking at you. Oh, I don't think I auditioned. I think I was booked on Thorne, and I said, I'm a nerd myself. I know. I think I couldn't find it the last time, but here in my desk. Oh, son of a bitch! I'm not going to find it this time either. I found it. This is I don't have my camera on. Can you see that?
No way, Dr. Phosphorus, is it?
Yeah, this is the first appearance of Rupert Thorne and Dr. Phosphorus that I got after I booked the part. But when I saw Thorne, I was like, okay, I know what this is. But so then we went in. I went in, and it was James was there. I don't think I'd seen him in a minute, but he was on video. Alan Tudyk was on another video, and then we ran through those scenes, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, I hadn't seen any of the character designs yet. I didn't see any of those until probably last September, right before it came out. I went in and I did a couple of pickups on it, and that's when I saw how cool it all looked. And the other thing that you see, I've been doing this a long time, and when you show up in an environment where things are going well versus when you show up in an environment things are not going very well. And everybody working on Creature Commandos that late in the game were all really happy, and I was just like, okay, this is not you. It's uncommon that late in the production cycle for people to be anything other than exhausted, and everybody was stoked and happy and really enthused, and I thought, this is really exciting. And now just to know, I mean, Superman is coming, it's a month from now, and I still can't believe, I mean, I'm so excited for what James has in store for all of us.
I just saw the newest trailer that came out for it today, actually, and it's just, I mean, for me, Superman's a character of hope, and, like, I do respect what Zack Snyder did with, like, say, Henry Cavill and stuff like that, but to me, like, I love the old school Christopher Reeve type of Superman, and it seems like that's what James is doing, Superman being about hope again. Are you a Superman fan, Benjamin?
I saw I remember very well Chestnut Hill Cinema outside of Boston seeing a man fly when I was 6 years old. That was the first Superman, and I'm at the end of the day, when I really got into comic books, Spider-Man was my number one guy, but Superman in terms of the movies and Christopher Reeve. But I also loved what Tim Daly did. I love the animated Superman, and the first time that
me too.
Tim Daly and Kevin Conroy is the world's finest. That first
so good.
as good a Batman story as you can tell. But then that's the thing that I love about all of these characters, and that you can tell the best Batman story that could ever be told, Denny O'Neil, and then Frank Miller can tell the best Batman story that's ever been told, and then Tim Burton can tell the best Batman story. That it is. These characters are so archetypical, and they are so much a part of us, that the kinds of stories that you can tell and the manner in which you can tell those stories are pretty extraordinary. The thing for me about James and the way he finds his way in on stories is it's always so unexpected, particularly because he's always so invested in kind of the gross thing happening in the corner, or this, the sort of the twisted little being off in the side. Like, he seems to be so focused on the margins that these really beautiful themes sneak up on you. The Suicide Squad, I think, as it came out during the pandemic, I don't know that it gets the kind of attention it deserves, but it has a lot to say. It's a lot to say about identity and courage and nations, and it's a very sophisticated story that's being told in an extraordinarily comic book manner, and I think that is the thing that I'm very excited to see in this Superman, with crypto and all these other sort of Silver Age elements being brought in, is ultimately what does Superman have to say about where we find ourselves today? And I think I'm very excited, because I do know 1978 was a challenging time too, and we were coming out of a real challenging moment, and this character that is about decency and it's about what is good in our community and in ourselves. I think it's a good time for Superman.
It is a good time for Superman, and as a Superman fan, I think James Gunn is the best person to helm that project in this new DCU. I mean, even just from seeing Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, and Creature Commandos, which you're in, it's incredible. So I can't wait to see more from what's coming from that, and maybe some more Rupert Thorne. Who knows?
I'm a big fan of prequels. Prequels have been really nice to me. I'm more than happy to continue going back in time if there is something. But the bottom line, if the phone rings and James wants anything from me, he has it, and I can get online the number of people that are willing to say that. It is he is at the peak of his powers, and they are formidable.
Big time. And Benjamin, as I said earlier, I want to be respectful of your time. I mean, this was a real thrill for me to talk to you today. As a fan of those Red Dead games, I mean, you're talking about 2010. Like, I'm a 25-year-old man. I was 10 years old when that game came out. I shouldn't have been playing the game, but I loved it.
Oh, you should not have.
No,
I'd like to talk to your parents, as a matter of fact. I know.
Understood. But then, think about that gap, and then till when I was 18, when the second game came out, it was just, again, I loved your characters, Dutch, and the other things you're doing as well. It's just, I really respect you as an actor, and I can't thank you enough for coming on. I have two brothers here who are big Dutch fans who really want to wave to you before the interview ends.
Well, please, let's see. If they don't. What are their names?
Hey, this is Carl here. I played Red Dead 1 back.
How's it going?
This is Chris.
Gentlemen,
we can't hear you, but just really grateful for your role as Dutch, and brilliant character. Hope to see him come back in some form.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Your lips to God's ears. I would love that. But it's great to meet you guys.
We can't hear you, but thanks for coming on. Thank you so much.
Well, tell him I said nothing but nice things.
He said nothing but nice things, guys. Now, Benjamin, again, thank you so much for coming on. This is genuinely, for me, I mean, this conversation meant a lot to me. It was really, really interesting, and I appreciate your time.
Jamie, I'll just tell you, I'm here for a reason. I think that the way you're doing what you're doing, you're asking good questions. You're investing in the arts, the artistic process. You're trying to demystify it for your audience, and I think that all of that is excellent. And I'm very happy that I can be a part of what you're trying to accomplish. So please keep spreading the good word about expertise, about art, and about popular storytelling.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Well, I'll let you go. I won't keep you here all day, Benjamin. Thanks so much again, and have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
I appreciate your words. See you now. The words he said to me at the end there, I don't take compliments very well, so I was choked up a little bit. But I mean, to hear, Dutch Van Der Linde be so nice, his voice for a minute, that was crazy. But I mean, Benjamin, he's not just Dutch, he's a great actor. He's an acting teacher as well. I mean, if you want to learn how to act, reach out to Benjamin. I can't thank him enough for coming on to Love It Film today. He's just a fascinating guy, and that's what we say on the page. We want to learn from the best. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you next week.